plans for tonight because I'm telling you, I found out about this story because I posted something about the show, encouraging people to listen, and somebody put something on my Facebook page about an 11-year-old black girl charged with murder in New Iberia, Louisiana. 11 years old, charged with murder and in jail. So, we started doing the research, and by Allah's grace, we had a sister that reached back out to us today. She's been working on this case. One of the things that I thought, brothers, was, how is there a black girl facing a murder charge?
Yeah.
For killing a white man, 11 years old?
Yeah.
But we haven't heard about it.
Yeah.
It's not plastered everywhere. Well, brothers and sisters, that's because we have got to do these things for ourselves. Nobody else is going to do it. So hopefully tonight you'll hear from Jennifer Landry, of friends and families of Louisiana's incarcerated children. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But no, I think Jennifer's on the line now. I think.
Okay, well, let's bring her in.
Okay.
Let's bring them in.
Okay. Sister Jennifer and Laramie.
Oh wow! Okay, wow. Hey, peace and blessings, y'all. Thank you so much. We're really honored to have you all on the show. This is Brother Naba'a Richard Muhammad, and you're on with the co-hosts, Brother B.J. Murphy and Brother James G. Muhammad. Thank you. And why don't you just introduce yourselves and your organizations? Then we're going to get right into this case and the subject matter.
Okay. My name is Jennifer Landry, and I am with Family and Friends of Louisiana's Incarcerated Children. Most people know us as FLIC.
Okay, very good. And where are you headquartered? Where's your headquarters, Sister Jennifer?
I am in Lafayette, Louisiana, which is about 30 minutes out of New Iberia. But FLIC is actually, their home base is in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Very good. Thank you. Laramie, introduce yourself and tell us something about what you do in the group you're with.
Yes, sir. My name is Laramie Griffin. I'm originally from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I started an organization called Victory Over Louisiana Violence. The nickname I actually use is Evolve Louisiana. And my organization was started to fill the gap in as far as community and people that actually need help as far as understanding politics, understanding rights and responsibilities, understanding what's happening around them, and just the mental health preparedness, conflict resolution, and just understanding themselves, being a humanitarian, and also just showing love to the community when they need it the most.
Wow. Well, thank you both. So I'm going to try to summarize this and not get too excited, but this has to be one of the most terrible stories of something happening to our people that we have told in the whole time we've been on the air. We've been on the air a little less than a year. But apparently, Judge Roger Hamilton in New Iberia is going to have a hearing and set a trial date for this 11-year-old girl accused of murdering, literally charged with murder. A New Iberia man. The 11-year-old's trial date is set for March 7th, which is in a couple of days. She's accused and charged with killing Cameron Bledsoe of New Iberia in November. I don't even know where to start with this. I'll try to keep it simple. Why was this little girl arrested and charged?
Larry, I'm about to say you can go ahead and take the reign, and I'll follow behind you.
Yes, sir. So Yes, that charge did happen in New Iberia. November 28th, they had an arrest warrant for this 11-year-old girl, and November 23rd. So how that transpired. First, you had to put into your mindset that we are in the Deep South. Heavy on racism here, heavy on bias, and considering our black community is left behind a lot. Louisiana is number 2 in poverty and number 3 in child poverty, which in turn breeds a lot of corruption, a lot of crime. And you know how the jail system works here, that we're number 1 incarceration, not on accident, but actually it's a planned agenda for the state. So in New Iberia, I believe there's about 25% of the people that there live in poverty. So, very low means and medium income. And so November 13th to 14th, there was a white man who stayed next door to this black family. He was 36 years old. His name is Cameron Bledsoe. He was found dead in his home. Now, a 15-year-old was known to be seen with him normally. Why? We still don't know that answer to that question. We don't know if he was his baseball coach, his tutor, was a pen pal. We don't know. But we know that at that time, they were actually looking for the 15-year-old who was seen with him often when the police found this man dead in his home. But this black family stayed exactly next door. Now, let me give you a picture of the area. Mainly one road in, one road out on Jasper Road. Maybe a corner store and some cornfields. Maybe a quarter mile, a half a mile down the road. It takes a few minutes to get there by car. So, give you a picture of that. And so, we believe that because this family stayed next door, and the 11-year-old sister was there also at home, but they found the man dead in his home. And so we believe that the police and the sheriffs, they played a cat and mouse game, because we believe that and we have to say we believe because there's a gag order on this case. And I'm going to get into that in a minute. There's an actual gag order that was put in by the judge. And I'm going to tell you the reason. We believe the reason why. And we have to say believe because we can't speak about certain things publicly, but we will let you know everything that we know that we can't speak about publicly. And trust me, it's a lot in itself. So we believe they played a cat and mouse game to get the 50-year-old to come back, because we believe he fled. As you know, when something like this happens, people do flee. And so the 11-year-old was around. They found out that she was at home, and we believe it was supposed to be, hey, you bring her back in, we bring him back in, we'll let the 11-year-old go. They played this game. And so when they did that, they talked to the family. It didn't happen. They kept her incarcerated. They put an arrest out warrant for her. And then after the fact, the mother went in to talk to them to try to see what was going on. We don't believe she had proper representation at the moment. And as you know, our people have to be more keen about going and talking to the police about anything. Because when it deals with our family and things of this nature, this gratitude, this gravity, you know what I'm saying? And so they arrested her also for 2 counts of accessory after the fact. And now this 11-year-old girl, who is maybe 4 feet tall, because we've actually seen her, very small, very, very, very small girl. She's 11 years old. She probably couldn't pick up a baseball bat and swing it and have a full swing. That's how small she is. She's not a big 11-year-old. And we believe with the past corruption of Iberia Parish and the new Iberia Sheriff and what they've done to people in the past, we believe that they're playing the game. And we know, and the community knows, and her family knows, who we're in contact with, and we have permission to do these things, that she would not commit such a heinous crime like this. Even if she was around the area, this wouldn't be something that she would do that's inside of her spirit. And so that's why we rallied around the situation and her family and push for these actions, these multiple actions that we've had over the past few months. So that's how she was incarcerated. And as of now, she has been incarcerated for
98 days.
98 days for a suspicion of something.
Yeah. Wow. Now the 15-year-old, This was the young sister's brother. He has been arrested, and he's accused of first-degree murder. You mentioned you mentioned a gag order from this judge. I'm not a lawyer, but I've covered trials and written about trials. But generally, when a judge imposes a gag order, there's some reason. They don't just generally, arbitrarily say nobody can talk about the case. Did the judge give a rationale for why there was this gag order? Seems to have been imposed from the beginning, right? Like right away.
Yes. It was at the very beginning of December that he imposed a gag order. It surprised the lawyers because, especially a criminal case, when you've had everyone arrested, it surprised them. And so that's why we had to tread carefully during this time. We don't know exactly why he did. He can't even speak on why he did, but there is one. And so that's why we had what they call a phone blitz on those parish officials. I can't remember the date. Jennifer may remember the date because we did January what? 17th?
I think it's the 17th. Mm-hmm.
January 17th, we did a phone blitz on the DA, the district attorney, Bo Dewey, on the judge, Roger Hamilton, on the mayor, and also the sheriff of that parish to say, look, we still want answers, and we want to let you know that we are watching you, and we want to hold you to truth about what's been happening. And what we got back that there is an official gag order. There is one. The lawyers wouldn't tell us any fields, but it was peculiar to them. They did one article in the newspaper. And they did one article, and the sheriff said something that was so ugly that I would call for his resignation. He said, now this is the sheriff in this parish, one who's elected in this parish to do right by the people, supposedly from our standards, but from history, he has not. He said that murder must be a family affair. Wow. That's why we're dealing with this situation. He said that out of his mouth, on record, to the newspaper twice. And so we believe that may be why there's a gag on the case, because it was going to be some back and forth, because that was so ugly. And also, what that does is that taints public perception, and that can also muddy the water of the jury pool if that were to come about later on. That's not your job. And so we called for his resignation. We haven't heard anything back about his resignation or anything. We know we won't, because that was a very arrogant and ugly statement to say about proceedings that you didn't even know. It's supposed to be innocent until proven guilty, and you've already put them in a pool of your own as a public official. That is not right. And so that's why we believe the gag order was put in place very early, because the judge saw that happen.
You know, it's interesting, but generally what you do is you sanction that sheriff, right?
Correct.
He's an officer who coordinates with the court. So the judge tells him, I don't want you saying nothing else, period. I mean, I'm going to say this real quick, and hopefully it'll make sense, right? You know, brothers and sisters, if you're following the news, you heard about this whole discussion of a gag order in the case of Mr. Trump, right? They had to leap through tremendous hoops to put a limited gag order on this man. Yeah, granted, he's running for president. Yes, okay, fine. But in principle, they didn't tell him, shut up, don't say nothing. And then even when they imposed the gag order, guess what? He violated.
He violates it all the time.
So all the time. So my point is there's so many things in this case that we need to be concerned about, and we need to keep following this case. We don't plan on making this the last time that you hear about this case from us. So, brother and sister, what about motive? Has anyone because usually law enforcement, excuse me, excuse me, one way or the other, comes up with some rationale, some type of motive. Has anything about motive been shared, discussed? Anything at all about why they feel? What is their rationale for arresting this girl and saying she killed this man just because she lived next door?
They haven't. Like I said, a gag order was put on early enough to where they couldn't. We don't believe she would commit something like this. And considering that she is so young, we haven't heard anything about this, anything like this. We talked to plenty of different lawyers, other activists, judges, state representatives who have had criminal cases, and they said they haven't even heard anything like this. And that's why we are holding the judge accountable to truth of why would you even agree without any real sufficient evidence to hold this young lady, 11 years old, doesn't even know what's really going on, not even a teenager. And we've seen her. She's very small, 4 feet tall. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on now. You know, you have to put morality behind your job. And that's the problem. And it gets pulled back here in Louisiana because of political friendships and racial bias, even if they are black. Mm-hmm. And that's why we rally behind it, because we know it's not right. The headline itself, when you see about the case, you type it in, it doesn't even look right. So that's why we're here. So we know it's not right, and that's why we are so glad that the organization Flick came along with us on this. We've shared a lot of information, and Flick has been very, very, has a good relationship with the actual Lafayette Juvenile Detention Center in ensuring of her mental state. As you know, this can be very traumatizing and long-lasting on a person that is so young that hasn't even fully developed in many different areas. And you know what I'm saying, physically and also mentally. So they've been very vocal. Flick set up to give some items out to the facility February 9th. For Valentine's Day. They've gotten word back from different people that they know that say, look, we talking to her as much as we can. We're making sure that she stays on the up and up and try to keep that kid, that loving spirit inside of her, because we know what this can do to a person, just an adult in itself. And, you know, it can be long lasting as far as it being someone so young. So not only are we looking at what's happening currently, but also the continuing care afterwards of what she's going to need. And we're glad that Flick and other organizations that deal with young women and mental health have reached out to say, we're going to help everywhere we can to make sure this doesn't turn into, as you know, trauma, untreated trauma turns into violence. It turns into promiscuity. It turns into dismissiveness and people running away and not feeling wanted. So we're so glad that Flick and the organization, the Village 337, down in Lafayette, the organization Vote, which started in Angola, which deals with these sorts of things and legislation. Other organizations, plenty others, my organization, they just came together and said, look, we have to stand up and fight for our young black children. And as you know, we have to say young black girl, young black children, because Louisiana is number two as far as black population in these states. Number one is Mississippi. And so we have to fight for our young people across this state, across this land, and ensuring that we hold them to truth, and we make sure holding them accountable is by keeping these stories alive, us continuing with these different actions. We had a Jericho walk. I don't know if people know about a Jericho walk, but a Jericho walk is when you walk around a facility or a building or a situation 7 times, and you pray and you bring in positive spirits and ancestry and prayer and whoever you pray to get good affirmations and good feelings about your situation. It could be you want the house, but we want this young lady to be released on March 7th. We're pushing for that. We're advocating for it. We want everyone to know, release her, free this 11-year-old black girl, because we know this, it is not right. It's been 98 days today 98 days today that she's been incarcerated, and she still may not fully understand what is going on. And we sympathize with the family. We sympathize with other young black children. As you know, they tried to criminalize our black children as super predators here. They just did it recently. And, you know, we just want the public to know. And like I said, we're so glad that you guys reached out from Chicago. Shout out to Fred Hampton, Senior, Fred Hampton Jr., for that, how hard we fight. My organization uses the 10-point platform and 9 local objectives to further our agendas throughout the state of Louisiana. And that's where we live, because most of the Panthers, as you know, some of them were from Louisiana. Fred Hampton Senior is buried in Louisiana in Bethel, and, you know, a few others are also from Louisiana. So we fight in that way because they love the community so much. You know, they put their lives on the line for it. That's what we're willing to do here. We put in our livelihoods, we put in everything that we have, and all what we're doing as far as our organizations and what we stand for into fighting for this young lady to get released.
Yeah, but Naba, can I ask a couple of quick questions?
Go ahead, Brother James.
Well, I think the sister had something to say. Jennifer had something.
Okay, Jennifer, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Actually, that's okay. Actually, 2 quick things. So one, when Laramie mentioned about her being really small and about 4 feet tall, and one of the first things that I noticed, first of all, I have a granddaughter. She's 9 years old. Her and the 11-year-old are literally the same size. There is no way, in my opinion, that someone being that small has the capability of picking up a gun, let alone shooting it without breaking an arm. It's no way. It's no way. I mean, it's difficult for me as a woman and an adult woman to do that. So, you know, imagine a little girl. And the second thing I wanted to bring up, so the thing of it is, young people of all backgrounds and all races engage in, you know, different kind of risky behavior at the same rate. But black youth, the black youth, removing them from their families and locking them up in facilities, that is the system's first response. That's what they automatically do. They want to lock the black kids up. They want to, you know, criminalize them. And I mean, and it's really sad. It's sad to say, you know, especially now, we have in Louisiana right now, we are under attack with our newly appointed governor. Oh my God, it's bad. And they are really, it's really bad. It's bad for all of the youth in the area. They are now, their records will be visible as youth. They brought the age back to where now at 17 they're being considered adults. You know, so I mean, it's really bad, and I feel so bad for this baby. She's a baby. I'm a mama. You know, I'm a mama first. You know, I'm an activist. I'm a wife, but I'm a mother. I was a mother before any of this, and it hurts my heart to see her in that situation. And like Laramie mentioned, you know, by us working with Flick, we have the opportunity to talk to the youth facility to find out, you know, is she okay? And I thank God that they are telling us the same thing. You know, I'm a dad, I'm a mom, so I understand. We're going to make sure she's okay. So the last we heard, she was in very good spirits. You know, she likes wrestling. They would watch wrestling with her. So she's still being a kid, but it's nothing like being a kid at home. We want her to be at home with her family, you know, and when I say family, I mean with her mama, with her dad, with her family, not in taking her out of that facility, not giving her any kind of treatment, any kind of mental health treatment or counseling, and possibly putting in a foster care system because y'all have her mama locked up.
Right.
So that's how she's going to be dealing with this probably for the rest of her life. And I just hope to God that the system does all right, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And in the state of Louisiana, we also made sure that she was getting she's getting schooling because in the state of Louisiana, you have to get regular schooling up until the age of 19. So we made sure they were doing that. The judge did ask her, and she did say yes. And like I said, the feedback we've been getting from what's been going on, like it's been positive. But we know that it's going to be more than just words that's going to have to be said to us. We're going to have to hear that from her, when she's released.
Yes.
Yeah. Sister Jennifer hit on one of the things I was going to mention, Brother Naba'a, is about the gun and the recoil from a gun for a young girl of the stature that was mentioned. But a couple other questions, and you can answer them after the break or whatever, or now. But I was wondering, like with the mothers arrested, did they set bail for her to be able to get out, or even for the girl, any kind of condition where they could be released? And I was curious about the population of Iberia. Is it about half and half black, half white? Is that about what it is?
It's predominantly white, but it is partially black. But 25% of the population is in poverty there, which is very large for any area.
Are there any black elected officials too that are in your city? Okay. And you don't have to answer, but you can answer later. But in terms of what has been their involvement or position, and I also thought you were a probable cause for the arrest of the girl. It seemed that they evidently had a like you said, it's theorized that they just did it to get this young boy to come back or whatever. But to arrest the person without probable cause, I'm sure down the road that would be something, hopefully, that could be actionable against the officials there in the police department.
Right. And so that's what we believe is holding them accountable to their proceedings. And we know, as far as what we deal with daily and dealing with the judicial system, police departments, that we know that they messed up somewhere. We know that they made a fault somewhere in doing this because they have, like I said, they're very arrogant. They're very racially biased.
And the judge.
The judge
is African American.
The judge is black. The parish president is black, and other officials are black in that area, especially the head sheriff. One of the head sheriffs is black also. So when you look at these situations, it's not the fact that if they're all black and white, because a lot of times they get pulled into this environment, and this foundation is bigger than them. They get pulled in by votes to say, oh, there's black guys coming in, and that's what happens. A lot of times around here, like I said, Louisiana is 33% black, and that is very large. That's larger than the state of Illinois. You know what I'm saying? That's larger than the black population in Illinois. In a lot of states, it's number 2 in the country. So you have a lot of black elected officials around here, and we have to deal within ourselves. We want black empowerment all across the board. We want black elected people who look like us in high positions making decisions, but it doesn't always work in our favor. It really doesn't. It's very few and far in between. We have about 32 Democrats in this state as far as the legislative, and most of them are okay, but not fully. They don't want to touch these type of situations. There's not too many lawyers that would even touch the situation, who we congratulate and thanking for taking this case, for taking the 11-year-old case pro bono. And it just saddens us that we have to go out and speak publicly about these black elected officials, these politicians, in these sorts of ways of not being true.
What about bail? Has any bail been set for the mother?
No bail has been set for second. She's been charged with second-degree murder. I don't think I clarified that. But usually there's not. And because she's a juvenile, it's a little bit different. And they had to start the case. They had to start the trial because she's underage. And we don't call them juveniles. We call them young people and youth. We have to let you know from the outside looking in. We call them youth and young people. It had to start within 60 days. And considering that when you charge someone with first second degree murder, you have to have intent full intent of what happened, hard evidence. People as adults in this state spend years, 3-4 years. We have a sister right now. Her son has been in jail for 7 years and hasn't had a trial date yet. And she's an advocate just like us. And those are the kind of things that
Laramie, let me break it. Don't lose your point, okay? We got to break at the